Okay, so we're in the Shaar Beis at the end of Parak Yud, and what we've been talking about is how everything that you do, and specifically what you say, and specifically Shmona Esrei, affects the entire cosmos of Shemayim. And every word of Shmona Esrei has a different place that it goes in Shemayim and changes the Shemayim, and thereby changing the world. And Nefesh Hachaim is going to go on to say that the Iker Kavanah of Tefillah is contrary to popular opinion, and for that matter, contrary to what the words seem to say. The Iker Kavanah of Tefillah is not to daven for yourself, give me a refuah, give me do tshuva. The Iker is to daven l'shvilei Shemayim. The Iker is to daven that the Shemayim and the Knesset Yisrael should be metukan. And once that's metukan, so then automatically the Oretz is metukan. So in a sense, we're davening for the Shemayim, or that's not the right way of saying it. The right way of saying it is we're doing our part in the cycle. So there's a cycle that goes Shemayim to Oretz, Oretz to Shemayim, Shemayim to Oretz, Oretz to Shemayim. And as a human, our part is to say the words of the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, and by saying the words of the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, so we're being Mesakin Shvilim. This is how we learn Pshat Kol Olam Kulei Mispal Misparnes B'Shvil Chanina B'nei. Comes down into the Shvil, and that's how we learn Pshat B'Shvili Nivra Ha'olam. Doesn't mean because of me or for me, but it means in my Shvil Nivra Ha'olam, and that's why the Nefesh Hachaim said, I pointed out, that when one davens, one has to know that what Chazal were able to do, Hamaskil Yavin Midaitoi, that all of Chazal, they wrote the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, they wrote the Tefillah, then Nehirin Lahu Shvilin Dechol Sidrei Breishis Upirkei Merkava, that they got the Shvilin. So what we're doing is it's a sort of an engineering feat of being masakin all of the shvilim of Seder Breishis, how HaKadosh Baruch Hu connects the Shemayim and the Oretz. Our Oretz part of it is to daven and fix the pipes from this side, if you will. I don't mean to make something so spiritual into something so physical, but sometimes if a pipe is stuffed, you got to get it from this end, you got to get it from that end. So it's the same thing. Like there's these shvilim that transport everything that's in Shemayim, Yerushalayim Shamala to Yerushalayim Shalmata. And transporting requires a two-sided effort, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's effort and our effort. Point one. Point two, when we're davening on that level. We're davening for the Shemayim. We're not davening for ourselves. Now I wonder... Are the downward pipes separate from the upper pipes? Are the downward slow pipes separate from the upper slow pipes? I don't know exactly, but I do know that the Sulam of Yaakov Avinu is Malachi Elikim Oilim V'Yardim Bay, which was talking about exactly this shvil. That was the shvil of Yaakov Avinu. And what's interesting about it is that, like the Gemara says, Koidem Oilim V'Acher Kach Yardim. The Malachim went up before they came down. Where'd they come from? They came from our tefillah. You would think Malachim started in Shemayim. Oilim V'Acher Kach Malachi Elikim Oilim V'Yardim Bay. But I want to share with you a Gra, a Kasha, and Pshat, according to the Nefesh Hachaim. But the Gra says, on the very famous Mishnah in Brachos Parak Hey, the first Mishnah says, Ein oimdim lehispalel, ela mitoich koived rosh, that the proper way to daven is mitoich koived rosh. So, help me here. How would you translate koived rosh? Let's say seriousness. I'll make it easier just to understand this intelligently. Koved Rosh is the opposite of Kalus Rosh. So Kalus Rosh, like levity, maybe you're drunk. Kalus Rosh, right? Like there's no Koved. And just to understand the words, like in other words, if you give somebody kavod, it means that you're taking them seriously. If you're makel in somebody's kavod, means that you're not taking them seriously. A klala is the ultimate lack of kavod. So koved means heavy and kal means light. And kavod means seriously, and koved rosh. So ein oimdim lehispalo lemitoch koved rosh. Serious business, I guess, is what we're learning here. So the Mishnah tells that Chasidim Harishonim Hayashayim Shah Achas U'Mispalalim Kadei Sheyichavnu Es Libam Lamakan. Everybody knows that the Chasidim Rishonim, whoever they may be, let's say the Anshe Knesset Hagdola, so the Chasidim Rishonim Hayashayim Shah Achas U'Mispalalim. They used to wait, often translated as meditate, for Shah Achas, which doesn't necessarily mean an hour, but let's call it an hour. It's a long time. It's a long time. But they used to first meditate. Why? This was an exercise. The meditation was an exercise in focusing themselves lamakom. In other words, simple pshat in the Mishnah is Dalif Nemiyata Ome. You know, when you're thinking, when you're davening tefillah, concentrate. Koved Rosh, take it seriously. Like if you would have an audience with a president or a king or somebody who's giving you a job, it would be Koved Rosh. You would prepare. You would be focused. You would make sure that you're not all over the place and you're not rambling, and you would say it Koved Rosh. So this is a serious meeting here. Everything hinges on this meeting. So the Hasidim Rishonim would spend an hour getting their minds and hearts, or hearts specifically, sheyichavnu as libam lamakoin. So the Vilna Gaon says as follows. Kedei sheyichavnu as libam, he changes the gears, so first of all, not lamakom, la'avihem shebashamayim. Significant. Yechavnu aslim la'avim shebashamayim, says the Gra. This is in Shnois Elio on the Mishnah. Pirush. She'aser l'chavein b'tefillah l'tzarech atzmai. You're not allowed to daven in tefillah for yourself, which is what we all do, halavai. Tell people, come to shul, daven for your children, daven for yourself, daven, everything should go good. No, aser l'chavein b'tefillah l'tzarech atzmai, ach lihispalo, what then is the correct kavana of tefillah? Lihispalo shiyu kol Yisrael b'tachlus hashleimus. Daven for the whole Klal Yisrael. That it should be b'tachlus, l'Lashon Rab, rifa'enu, hashivenu, shma koleinu, whole Klal Yisrael. V'yeh nishlam knesses Yisrael lamala. And that there should be a shleimus to the knesses Yisrael lemala. Dahainu, that the Knesset Yisrael doesn't mean Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is Klal Yisrael, that's us. Knesset Yisrael means our mirror image in Shamayim. Yerushalayim Shamala, Yerushalayim Shalmata. Klal Yisrael, Knesset Yisrael. Whenever you see the Lashon of Knesset Yisrael, Amar Knesset Yisrael Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Knesset Yisrael refers to our, on the one hand, our reflection in the Shamayim, on the other hand, our source in the Shemayim, but our spiritual, the spiritual essence of Klal Yisrael. And Lashon HaMekubalim Knesset Yisrael Hu Ashchina. Knesset Yisrael Hu Ashchina. So in other words, Knesset Yisrael, if you make a diagram of how the Shemayim works, so the Knesset Yisrael is on the bottom giving energy to Klal Yisrael. That's where the Shechina Shaar. That's Knesset Yisrael is where heaven touches earth. That's what the Knesset Yisrael is. So let's not confuse our terms here. So, and the Vilna Gaon says this clearly, that our tefillah should be, Shiyu kol Yisrael b'tachlus hashleimus. How? V'yeh nishlam knesses Yisrael lamala. That there should be a shleimus to the knesses Yisrael lamala. So what's our tefillah? Our tefillah is really klape mala. Avaloi l'tzarech atzmai. It shouldn't be for myself. If I'm just davening here, I'm missing the point. It has to be davening for the knesset Yisrael. When you get to the end of Shemar Nesher, L'kai Netzar, that's where you could already talk a little bit about yourself, and that's where there's 12 Amiroim and the Gemara and Brachas that said 12 different personal prayers. that you could even choose from. We say the acclaimed Torah that we say from, but you could even choose from. I mentioned in the morning that the Chassam Sofer used to say a different one every tefillah. He said all throughout the week. He said all of them. Different minhagim, but that's different. That's acclaimed Torah. That's your own personal tefillos. But tefillos acclaimed Torah hu al atzmai. V'zeh shekasav kan, says the guy in Meridik, and that's what the pshat in the Mishnah is. Kidei shechavnu libam la'aviyam shabashamayim. Don't daven for yourself. Daven la'aviyam shabashamayim. Daven for God. In other words, let me just explain something before we go further. That it's just to crystallize the idea. We need daven for Hashem. Hashem doesn't need us to daven for Him, and this is really what the Nefesh Hachaim's thesis is throughout the whole sefer. It's not that Hashem needs us to daven for Him. It's that Hashem made a system here, a marechet, and there's a marechet of Reishis Bar Elokim es hashomayim v'es ha'aretz. He made a marechet of the shamayim and he made a marechet of the aretz, and he hooked them up. He hooked them up like a battery's hooked up to a cell phone. He hooked it up. Like, that's how it's hooked up. So it's not that I'm davening for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I have to do my part in the Shvilei Ma'aseh Bereishis. I have to do my part. Otherwise, it's going to get stuck with me. If everybody in the Kollel Yisrael does their part lamata, so Mamela, the Knesset Yisrael Lamala is getting its nourishment, and therefore it's able to nourish the Kollel Yisrael Lamata, right? Move on. So it's not that I'm davening for Hashem. It's a misnomer, even if you say that. And it's not that I'm davening for myself. I'm understanding and acknowledging that I'm part of a system. As a human, I'm part of a system. Now, as part of a system, let's say you work for some company, you're part of the system. Does that mean that you can't use the copy machine for yourself? Probably you can't. Even if you get permission, that's certainly not the tachlis of you being there. Even if it's not Geneva, that's not why I go, right? So the reason, that's true of a job, that's true of our job in life, that's true of once it's the tzarech atzmai. Imagine a chayal, as the Nefesh Hachaim says in the next chapter, is in it for himself. So it can't be. It's a tremendous siyata d'shmaya. I think that people that you wouldn't think have this madrega, they're not in it for themselves. They take bullets for other people. They take bullets for the general population, for you and me. Like, where does this come from? This whole ability to do it. The same person a year earlier or 2 years later is in business. It's dog eat dog. He's in it for himself. But somehow or another, there's this idea, understanding that I'm not in this for myself. And if you are, you get in trouble. If you run away from what you're supposed to be doing, you get in trouble. What's interesting, by the way, the tzava, which always fascinated me, is that the people fight for those dangerous jobs. Like, I don't want to be a jobnik. They fight for this. They want to hold a machine gun. They want to, get shot. I don't know. Like, it's. But the point is, it's the same thing. I'm not my mashal. It's the Reb Chaim Volozhin's mashal. Like kamo chayalim. Now, if you're standing in front of your sergeant or lieutenant or whatever it is, the one who's in charge of you, and you say, look, I think this is what we need to do in order to be successful in this particular battle. This is the strategy. Good. That's a good tefillah. That's a good tefillah. If you say at the same time, and also like my boots are wearing out and I need some new boots, that's an okay tefillah. But even that, you can stick it in. But that's acclaimed tzar. That comes at the end as okay. But the tefillah is l'tzarech kavoya. So says the Goin that's the pshat in the tefillah. That's the pshat in the Mishnah rather. Umispalalim k'dei sheyichavnu es libam la'mokim libam la'aviyam shabashamayim. Not that I should be focused towards Hashem, and not that I should be davening for. I'm davening for the system. I'm davening that the system should work because I am part of the system. Imeina nili mili. If I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it? And bishvili nivra ha'olam, and the whole world is going through the shvil, just like Hanina B'nai had a shvil. I have a shvil. Bishvili nivra ha'olam. So that's beautiful shot in the Mishnah by the Gra.
Why is there so much emphasis on the passion of, for example, Chana, or that the Abbas has to have tsaros in order to, if Hashem wanted the tefillah
Meaning attention was given to the fact, emphasized, that the world is not working because you're not davening, and that's why you're not having a child. And when she felt the pain, like Hanina ben Doisa felt the pain, when she was chaser, so now the Marechet had to supply her with a child, and therefore supplied the whole world with a child. I don't know what her kavanah was, but the point is her kavanah was to have a child and to have a Bnei Yisrael and to have Kvod Hashem, and part of tefillah in order to get the leiv activated is you have to really want that. But it was a Marechet tefillah. It wasn't a personal tefillah. That's the cloud. But let's talk about Chana, because listen to this. Then the Goyen ends like this, which I really wanted to skip because I didn't understand Pshat, but since I understand Pshat, I see it's yelling at me with glory. V'zeh shekasav kan, this is the Pshat in the Mishnah, Kadesh yechavnu libam la'avihem shabashamayim. Loi, these three words are shver, loi sheyechavnu b'dibur, as opposed to being mechavein b'dibur. Okay, so everybody knows that you should daven with your heart and not with your words. Everybody knows avodah tefillah zu avodah shebalev. A completely different message than the message of this paragraph. The message of this paragraph is when you daven, don't daven for yourself, daven for Knesset Yisrael. Daven for the Shechina. That's the message. So there's a different thing we could say that everybody says in the Mishnah. Everybody says, probably the Kahati says, that you should have kavanah with your heart and not just with your words. So the Vilna Gaon, who's saying such a deep thing over here, lo sheyechavnu b'dibur. It's not about I shouldn't be mechaven with dibur, I should be mechaven with leiv. That's not the point. The emphasis here is not on the leiv. The emphasis is on what you're davening for. That's the whole chiddush of the Gra. So what is this for? Lo sheyechavnu b'dibur. What's the Pirush Hamilos? And then I realized, if you have a Nefesh Hachaim, take a look, that at the end of Parak Yud, where the Nefesh Hachaim says this Yesod of davening that tefillah is l'tzarech kavaya, so at the end he says v'lo zois, and therefore, av shekar Rabbi Seinu Zalas inyan tefillah avodah shebalev, even though they call it avodah shebalev, im kol zeh igmaru mikroi dechana, we learn from the Psukim in Chana sheyachtoich shetzarech sheyachtoich b'svasav, that you have to actually say the words. Okay, also very important halacha. That's the end of the parak Yud. He starts something else. That's a very important halacha. It has nothing to do with the parak. The parak is all talking about where my kavanah should be. My kavanah should be that I'm thinking about the kol elyon and the tzarech kavaya, and I'm creating my little bit. I'm doing my little thing to open up my shvil from Shemaim to Aretz, Aretz to Shemaim, Shemaim to Aretz. And he says vilazois, and therefore. What's the therefore? Isn't that what vilazois means? Or vilazois. Af shekar Rabbi Seinu Zal as inyan hatfilah avodah shebalev im kol zagmer mikrei dechano shetzarech sheyachtev b'svasav. He ends off with dibur, also just like the Vilna Gaon ends off with dibur. And I realized that don't skip, don't skip. There's something very, very deep going on over here. What's going on here is really the tachlis of everything that the Goyen is telling us, and he's telling us. Because what was the chidush of Chana? Chana davened for a son. She didn't have a son. She davened for her son. She had a son, Shmuel. Interesting, when she davened for her son, she said, Rebbeinu Shalom, give me a son, shehu loy gavaya v'loy namuch, loy asher v'loy ani, loy chacham v'loy tipesh. That's what she said. Just give me a son. For some reason, she asked for normal. I just want a normal son. I'm not looking for a genius. I'm not looking for a gazillionaire. I'm just looking for a normal kid. Give me a son. Who does she have? Shmuel Hanavi. So her tefillos were not answered. But and the Tanakh reports that she was davening and she was moving her lips. And they thought Nira Laka Shikura, looked like she was even shikr. Why are you moving your lips? If you're not talking to anybody and you're not making any sound. It's like, like if you're in your car and you're next to somebody, you're standing with the steering wheel and there's nobody else in the car, and he's talking. Like if you would have seen this scene 20 years ago, you would have called the police. So Michigan driving on the street. What's he standing in front of the steering wheel, talking to the air, like he's talking to himself? Now we understand. There's a marechet. There's a marechet. There's a marechet in the car. There's a marechet from the car. There's a Bluetooth. There's Wi-Fi. There's cell waves. There's all kinds of stuff. So therefore, eret, he's talking. But at the time, Chana was apparently aware of this marechet, but those who saw her were not aware of this marechet. So nirala kishikara, so it looked like she was some kind of a nut, talking, drank too much, intoxicated. What is she doing? Moving her lips, and she's not even saying anything. So from here, Chazal learned from Chana that when you daven, you have to move your lips. Mitzad Sheni, Chazal say, Hamashmiya kollel b'tfilasei, areze mikatane amona. That if you let your voice be heard while you're davening, that means you don't have amunah. Kilu, I have to say it loud, Hashem doesn't read my heart. So, machlekes in the poskim, is it mashmiya kollel? Does that mean that somebody else can't hear my tefillah? Or does it mean even I shouldn't hear my tefillah? Is it that I should, it's a halachic shaila. Does it mean that I should say it with a little bit of kol, like a whisper, so that at least I should hear it in my ear, shemei la'oznai? Or does it mean you should move your lips without any sound at all? Question in the poskim. It's not a shir in halacha, but that's a question in the poskim. But what I'm after is the essential contradiction here between, let's say, in Chana, on the one hand, her lips are moving, and on the other hand, she's not being mashmiya any kol. So you have svasayim without kol. It's an interesting thing. Usually the kol is a kol, right? Animals can make a kol. Animals can get their needs taken care of by barking and chirping and making all kinds of, and howling, make all kinds of noises, usually territorial noises, like it's my space, get out. But a human can speak. Speaking means two things. Speaking means at least two things. Probably means a couple hundred things in the Seder Advarim. But what speaking means is that I'm putting out some kind of a sound. I'm making some noise here, and my lips, let's say, are articulating them into words that you can understand. So that's what I'm doing right now. If I'd be moving my lips without any kol, it would be to most of us it would be a very strange. You wouldn't hear anything. You wouldn't understand anything. There's an irony here. There's a person in our shul that doesn't hear. But he's the only one in the shul who doesn't complain that he can't hear me. Because he sits in the back and it's fine. What's the problem? Because he understands everything I'm saying because he knows how to read lips. So it's an ironic situation. The only one who can hear is the guy who can't hear. Interesting. So the thing is like this. You hear the stira. The stira is on the one hand, mashmiya kol b'tfilasei reizeh miktanei amon. On the other hand, Chana was machadish for some reason. You need to be moving your lips. So what am I moving my lips? If tefillah is avodah shebelev, so daven belev. What?
You did not hear her. You did not make sound, or
we don't know. That is exactly the machlekes haposkim. What she did. One thing's for sure, he didn't hear her, and one thing's for sure, she was moving her lips. So she wasn't davening b'kol. What's interesting here is the Gemara learns two things from Chana. One is no kol. Two is svasayim. So mazah svasayim bli kol. What is it? So I looked. I didn't bring the sefer. In Rav Kook, Zecher Tzadik L'Bracha, in the Einayah, on this Gemara, Daf Hey. Just a short paragraph, and I just want to read it to you. He says the same thing, by the way, similar thing in the Siddur, and he says this in a few different places, and it's just really like simple pshat and beautiful pshat, emes pshat. He says, "V'koila lo yishma." It's lashon. "V'koila lo yishma." Mikan, says the Gemara, "L'mispalel shelo yashmiya koiloi b'tfilah." Say we learn from here that you're not allowed to be mashmiya kol. Tachlis hatfilah, says the Einaya. Tachlis hatfilah, he's gabris hashlemus hapnimis. Because tefillah has to be where your pneumius takes over. It's a havodah shebelev. It's all about your pneumius. If you're davening like a tape recorder, you're not davening. B'yischaskus hanefesh haruchnis al yedei iskarvusa l'tzir amiti ha'efshari la ba'akaris yotzra ba'avonas yechshel l'ribono kollel olam. One is getting as close to as possible, as humanly possible, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu at a moment of tefillah. V'hine yisoid hadasu lahavin. That it's yisoidistic to understand she'im shetachlis hashleimus hiyaseichel v'hakara amitis. That when we're talking about shleimus, we're talking about understanding something deeply. We're talking about really getting it, and getting it means that I'm not just saying words and I'm not going through motions. I'm getting it. That's the pshat, beautiful pshat, by the way. In avodah shebelev zu tefillah, that the whole tefillah is. I mean, we naturally know this, but it just articulated so well here. The natural tefillah is avodah shebelev, that I'm really understanding what I'm doing. I'm really getting it. I'm communicating with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm really getting it. Aval, however, efshir sheyavei l'tachlis haniskava hazu, one cannot get to this exalted state, ki'im kishiyishtamish im kol koichosav, unless he uses every one of his kochos, and all of your talents. The hainu sheyishtamish behergish b'makim shetzarech hergish. Sometimes you have to use your emotions if it's an emotional prayer. Yishtamish b'pulas b'pu'ulais b'makim shetzarech pu'ulais. Sometimes you bow down. You have to do a pu'ula in the place where a pu'ula is in order. Sha'yidei. Why? If I'm doing something in my heart, why do I have to have my emotion involved? Kinireh, he's understanding my emotion is not in my heart, but certainly my bowing is not in my heart. Shal yedei kain yishtalim haseichel, because this is the ultimate seichel, he says. That's how tefillah goes through all of us. So that's why we have this dichotomy here, that on the one hand, it has to be completely believed, but on the other hand, you have to use everything you got. So you have to be chotech as sifasa. Lahayros, this is to teach you, shiyavei loy shleimus hamadai. Where's my shleimus hadas? It's not das plus. Where's my shleimus hadas? Ayidei puloisav haguvnias. It's by acting out. Hatzrichas his talmus hatzir. You know, Friday night here we spoke halacha. What's the right way to hold your hands? All the different shitas. Should you hold your hands like this? Should you hold your hands like this? Should you hold your hands like this? What you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. Mak kesher, who cares how you're holding your hands? Daven with your heart. But apparently, Vayar Moshe as Yadav, Moshe Rabbeinu picked up his hands. That was a way that he davened. I explained this Friday night, why we don't daven like that, etc. By the way, it's not only Jews, Lahavdil L'Goyim also, the Hindus go like this, and the Christians go like this, and the Arabs go like what we do, or like this, and we have right over left. So there's the Yamin over small, Chesed over Gvura. There's significance, and it's not just symbolism. It's kol nafshecha. So says Rav Kook, L'Hayros. The real place to daven is in your head, in your heart. What good is it to do dvarim chitzonim? This is nothing. That's kid stuff. So mitzad echad, you can't raise your voice when you're davening. That teaches you that it's private, it's mine, it's my heart, it's something very deep going on here. It's not something you can hear. B'yan, however, shamei adei amitis hazoi shetachlos hashleimus hashleimus hapnimis, even though the main thing is the pnimius. Im loy tuban karoi tetzim izet takolol zilzul ha'maisa machitzainim. So what? My body has nothing to do with this? There's a zilzul to the maisa machitzainim. B'amas rak al yodam u'bezrasam tavei hashleimus hamadois ha'imis amitis. And the only way you can actually accomplish anything is by actually doing something. So here is our pshara, says Rav Kook, alkein yachad. Im iser hashmas kol yavai chiyav ha'maisi al chita chasvasayim. Beautiful, right? So you make shalom over here. That on the one hand, the tefillah is belev, and it can't be bekol because bekol is the antithesis of leiv. It's the antithesis of leiv. But if I'm just belev, I'm just very spiritual. I'm just belev. So then what am I doing? I'm not doing a pu'ula. So came Chano with this gewaldige chiddush that you have to be able, and she had Shmuel HaNavi, it was Niv Svasayim. You have to be able to do a pu'ula, which is not a stira to the Dvarim Shebelev. A gewaldige Rav Kook. I once heard, by the way, like the Karliner Hasidim, so they scream when they're davening. They're screaming the davening. You go into Karlin, you have to wear earplugs. And somebody came once, I think it was to the Ger Rebbe in Europe, and he said that they don't do this here, but I'm here for a couple of weeks, and I tend to scream when I'm davening. That's my minhag. So he asked the Ger Rebbe or one of the Gabbayim, is it okay if I scream when I daven? So the Ger Rebbe said, you could scream, but you have to do it inside, not outside. What's the pshat shema koleinu? Huh?
I hear the point, but then you have the aspect of the ruach, of the ruach ma'ala, the
koach hadibur. So yeah. So the thing is, that's called dibur. Chituch svasayim might be called dibur. Yeah. So in other words, there's this very, very tight balance that's going on over here. So the way I understand it, first of all, pshat. The pshat is, says the Goin, the ikar tefillah is with your leiv, and your leiv has to be for shamayim. It's not for any other reason. Lo sheyechavenu b'dibur. Don't be mechaven with your dibur. Do dibur, but don't be mechaven with your dibur, with your leiv, and it comes out in your dibur. That's pashut pshat in the Vilna Gaon. Once I read it 5 times, I understood what the Shnois Eliyahu is saying, and that's what the Nefesh Hachaim says, that he's talking about davening tzarich gavoya, and he says v'lozayis hafshakar Rabbi Shenos Indian hatfila avodish v'levim kolza agmer mikray dechanish tzarich sheachtich b'svasa. The deep understanding of this whole thing is that, let's say we're davening and our tefillas are all going up to the world of Atzilus. So you have Atzilus and Bria and Yetzira. Asiya, we're in the world of Asiya. What is the job of a human being? If you look at this Marechet, what's the job of the human being? It's to be human. The whole job is to be Oivedes Hashem with our humanness. And what makes us more human, or ultimately human, is our Koach HaDibur. Meaning that's what arises us up above grass and stones and animals, is our Koach HaDibur. So as part of this Marechet, there has to be Dibur. When the Nachash, after the Nachash participated in the Chet of Adam HaRishon, so everybody knows Al Gechain Chatelech, but what people don't talk about enough is that it lost its Koach HaDibur. Before the Nachash was able to talk, and now it can't talk. It's another thing that happened with the Nachash. So what was the Indian of not being able to talk? You can't participate in the cycle of Maisa Bereshis. You can no longer be part. Look what you've done. You've had the intelligence. Ad Kedei Kach Adam almost married you. So you're standing tall. You're smart. Arum Mikol Achayos was something completely different, and you talked. No, you'll get on your belly and you'll eat dust and you'll never talk again, because you after what you did with your dibur, you can't participate in this marechet. Adam Baruch Hashem didn't lose the Koach HaDibur, even though they did the Chet. Adam and Chava, Kadosh Baruch Hu had a different because there was a Vayipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chaim, and it was a Ruach Memalala, as you said, their Koach HaDibur came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I don't know about the snake. You know, I said a couple of weeks ago that in the whole Parshas Noach, you don't find Vayomer Noach. This was the Taina on him, Zaktepus. You know, like, why don't you say something, you know? The only thing he said is, the first words that he said and the only words that he said was, Orur Canaan. So what do we get out of that? A bunch of Palestinians throwing rockets at us, or Canaan mugging us in Brooklyn or something. Like, if he would have said Baruch Canaan, I mean, I'm just saying, would have said Baruch Canaan, they'd be a dignified people. It wouldn't be, you know, putting their own family in danger. But I mean, so that's what he said. That's what you say, or Canaan. But I have a regesh inside of me. That was the taina. If you would have been B'der Shel Avram, because Avram Avinu spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke. And maybe there's 50 tzaddikim, maybe there's 40 tzaddikim, maybe there's 30 tzaddikim. And Nefesh Hachaim, and he spoke and he spoke and he spoke. It was the opposite of Noach. But I have a feeling that Noach, the first main character that comes up after Adam, Chava, and the Noach, is like mum's the word, shtum. But the thing is like this. Let me just take the 2 minutes to complete this cycle here. I think this Rav Kook is very Yesodistic. The Gra is Yesodistic. You know, all explains to us the Nefesh Hachaim. But more important, they all explain to us how we should daven and how we should live. But what's interesting is that we start our Shemona Esrei by saying Hashem Spasai Tiftach. Ufi Yagita Lasecha. The complete poetic version that the Shliach Tzibur says on Yom Kippur is Oichi Lolakel Achale Panov, right? The Shliach Tzibur asks the Rebbeinu Shalom to give him Ma'aneh Lashon. And then in the Tefillah quotes the pasuk, Lashem Ma'ar Chilev. How's it go? Hashem Ma'ar Chilev. What? No. It's a pasuk in Mishlei. Lashem Ma'ar Chilev Ula Adam Ma'aneh Lashon. And to a person is Lashon. And Hashem Svasai Tiftach Ufi Agiti Lasecha. Hashem Svasai Tiftach Ufi Agiti Lasecha. What is this piyut in this tefillah about? That we're saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, here I am, davening on Yomim Noraim, give me words. Okay, look in the siddur. Give me words, meaning Hashem Svasai, this is the hakdama to Hashem Svasai Tiftach. Echila Lakel, Achalel Lashoin, Eshboich Lefanov Ma'aneh Lashoin. Hashem Ma'ar Chilev, Umei Hashem Ma'aneh Lashon. Then it says something like, let me sing to Hashem, L'ranein Uzoi, Hashem Svasai Tiftach Ufi Agiti Lasach. I'm sorry, it's already a long time since Yom Kippur. But the point is this. We start our tefillah, this is the point, with Hashem Svasai Tiftach, meaning that as we get into tefillah, the Isser Hefsik and the Isser Dibur becomes more and more. Nachon? Do I have it right? Did I make it? Oh. Adam Ma'ar Chilev. Okay, thank you. Adam Ma'ar Chilev Umei Hashem Ma'aneh Lashon. Adam Ma'ar Chilev Umei Hashem Ma'aneh Lashon. So I said, what was Mustaver? And the whole thing is Ipcha Mustaver. So Hashem, La Hashem Ma'ar Chilev. I could organize my heart for Hashem. How does it go? La Adam Ma'ar Chilev. It's our job to think, and it's Hashem's job to give us Lashon. Eshalom imanu Lotman Lashon. But so isn't this Ipcha Mustaver? Meaning it's our job to think, we're using our lave. and you give us the Mana Lashon. What's the next words? Huh? Asher b'kalam or ninu uzai. Hashem swasai tiftach. Very good. Okay. Okay. Good. One should read from sources. Beautiful. The thing is like this: you start davening, you can talk to somebody. As the davening goes on, you can talk less. Shoylem mipnei hasholem, mishivim mipnei hakavod. Comes Baruch Shamar, you don't talk so much. Comes Baruch Hu, you talk less. Comes Kriya Shema, less, more of an issur to talk. Ben Gula L'Tfila, so even in places where they talk, they don't talk. Like even talking shuls don't talk. Ben Gula L'Tfila. Like, I'll talk Ben Gula L'Tfila. What's the pshat in all that? The pshat in all that is that I'm going from a physical place deeper and deeper into my heart, and dibur has nothing to do with this. So how could I be mafsik the dibur when I'm in the middle of Shaar Achas? I'm chaven asleep by Lavinu Shabashamayim. It doesn't make sense to talk. Okay, so now I'm neshama with no goof. By the time I get to Goal Yisrael, I've gone from the world of Asiya to the world of Yitzira to the world of Bria, and here I am standing in front of Hashem, and now I have to say, Hashem swasai tiftach ufi agitul azach. I can't talk. The words have to come from you. The other bookend of the Shemona Esrei is you l'ratzain imrei fi v'hegyoin libi l'fonecha. Listen to how beautiful it is. I'll arrange hegyoin libi. You l'ratzain imrei fi. Two dinim here. There's this which my peh has said, and this which my heart has higayon. Hegyoin libi l'fonecha. Hashem suri. So that's the two bookends of Shemona Esrei. What happens over here is that there's this combination of lave being articulated as a human through dibur, but not too human with kol, and could be Shema Koleinu is like the Ger Rebbe said. Shema Koleinu means you can scream inside your heart. You don't have to scream outside the heart. That's also kol. Doesn't mean the kol necessarily of your throat. V'haraya, we don't scream. There's another Karliner story I'll leave you with today. That the Karliner, there was a Karliner chassid, I forgot his famous Karliner chassid, and he came to some place where they don't scream, and he said, "Is it okay if I scream?" And the Rebbe said, "No, I don't want you to scream. You're going to disturb everything, and it's not the right place to do. We don't do that here. Don't do it." So Beseder, so he davened quietly on Shalokim in Haggai, and davened quietly all week. And when it Shabbos, he davened quietly, and when he got to Nishmas, he simply couldn't control himself anymore. So he gives out a scream, Nishmas Kol. He just couldn't help himself from screaming, and everybody took a look at it. What are you screaming about? And he just, I just couldn't. So at the end, what's the Shabbos? He went to the Rebbe. He says, "I tried so hard, not to scream the whole time. I didn't scream. No coil at all. But I got to Nishmas. I just couldn't contain myself. I apologize. I'm sorry. I just couldn't hold myself back." So the Rebbe told him, "No, you don't have anything to apologize for." He says, "If you plan to scream, that's not a scream. If you can't help yourself from screaming, that's coming from the deepest place in your life. That's a whole different story. What does it mean? Okay, on Shabbos morning at 10 o'clock, I'm going to give out a gishrai. This is not tefillah. So the Rebbe, the Musar there was, scream, not mechanically. You want to scream, but it has to come min alev. In Yonenu, the bookends of Shemona Esrei is Hashem Svasai Tiftach, no koil, and Yularatzin Imrei Fi, Vehegyoin Libi Lefanecha. Again, no koil, and that ends Shemona Esrei, and that's the pshat over here that the Nefesh Hachaim ends. Avodah shebelev im kol zeh amru mikrei dechanish tzarich sheyachtach b'svasav. You have to be a human. You have to do something human. You can't do something. At the end of the day, you're in the world of Asiya, and that's where Hashem put you. That's where your avodah is. Your avodah is in the world of Asiya. Otherwise, what are you putting on tefillin? What are you doing anything? What are you doing giving tzedakah for? The answer is, I put you here to be on the bottom of this marechet and be oila lamala, like Yaakov Avinu's sulam. And that's how the whole thing works. And then we'll start Parakut Aleph.
kind of a perspective from judging yourself.
Who says?
Pardon?
Who says?